Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be recapping episode 54 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. It was a fun one. Let's get into it. We start in Uthadern. The group that watched Umadara leave are met with cheers as they re-enter the city. They are surrounded by people asking who they are. One elven boy pushes his way through the crowd. He's about probably in his 20s. He is Sir Ludin, the page of the king and queen, and tells them the king and queen request to meet them tomorrow after some affairs are done and dealt with. FGG asks if they are famous. Diana says yes. Imogen says this is the first time they've been cheered for their actions. Frida assures the party that they are very likable, so that seems odd. Imogen then tries to message Chetney to tell him to meet up at Diana's place, but she takes damage as the sending spell yet again doesn't work. Chetney is currently being wrapped up by a dwarf after lying about being severely injured. The dwarf noticed that most of the blood is not, in fact, Chetney's. The dwarf lets Chetney go as he thinks Chetney is completely fine. Chetney puts his hood up to stay unnoticed. He avoid Ultgar's place. He overhears people talk about the events that just transpired. He asks someone where the heroes took the beast, and he goes up to the top disc. He looks for his friends, but rolls a 7. He sees a makeshift party or celebration the people are throwing throughout the city. Frida, however, sees Chetney. Imogen talks to him in his mind as they reestablish that connection. With this, they all regroup at Diana's place. FGG informs Chetney of their new status. As celebrities, they are going to meet the king and queen tomorrow. Maybe Chetney's not invited, but they're going to take him anyway. They go to Deanna's home. The ceiling is max 7 feet tall. Everyone fits, but it's kind of tight and cozy. It feels warm with blankets throughout. Deanna apologizes for not cleaning before they all got here. They try to figure out space and who will sleep where. Fern and Imogen are going to take Frida's bed. They never use it, and Frida and FCG will both stand, as they do when they turn themselves off. Chetney and Fern both assume Chetney will end up in Deanna's bed. This causes her to step out. Imogen joins her outside. Deanna asks Imogen if she is okay. Imogen says yes, and that she recognizes people with anxiety, and asks if Deanna's okay. She's overwhelmed a bit. Imogen says they can stay in Deanna's room, or she can stay in Deanna's room, instead of Chetney. Deanna says she doesn't recognize Chetney anymore. Imogen asks what Chetney was like before. She says he was a passionate and driven man, and wonders if she actually met the actual Chetney, or if she just met Vacation Chetney as they met while they were on vacation. Imogen says Deanna holds a special place in Chetney's mind, and they go back inside. Back inside, FCG is fascinated with Frida's dreams. Frida has the same dream, and sometimes more is revealed as they constantly dream about it. FCG asks if they can go into Frida's dream tonight. Frida asks about sleeping arrangement again. Chetney is now on the couch. Fern, Imogen, and Deanna are going to be in one room, and the Aoratons are going to be in Frida's room. Frida is nervous about someone going into their room, but is also excited about learning more about someone like them. FGG is excited for the same reasons. They get to Frida's room. It's filled with paper and charcoal of sketches, some crude, but they get better as they go on. One picture is of Deanna and Frida. They want to give it to her. FGG asks Frida if they are in love with Deanna. Frida is not romantically in love with Deanna, but loves her nonetheless. More of a familiar bond. Other drawings are of the globe, the world of Exandria. FGG says it's fantastical, but the world is flat, so it's cool but not accurate. Frida is shocked by this. Frida then asks how the dream magic works. FGG explains that the person they join goes to sleep, and then they cast the spell, and they see what they see. Frida grabs FGG's hand, and they fall asleep. FGG casts the spell, and they feel their presence move through darkness, and then it enters a warm feeling. It takes some time to gather themselves. They see a light that they are following. They realize that this is Frida. Frida is familiar with this feeling and feels someone behind them in this space for the first time. Frida feels freed by this dream being shared by someone else. The sky in this dream is gold and white. Katha is in the sky. There is no Ruidus. Below is the globe of Exandria, the ocean and landscape. There is no aurora. The world is, in fact, spherical. They look at their hands and they see the Aoraton medal. Frida goes over to FCG and says that it's beautiful, isn't it? FCG is fascinated by this and obviously very jealous that they can dream. Frida looks at their hands again and then they look down to see legs with skin of a humanoid. My dog. FCG looks at Frida and sees the Aorton form, but sees an apparition of a child with Frida. FCG asks if it's theirs or if it's Frida. Frida says it feels like a name they should know or a memory they can't place. FCG sees the child partly inside of the energy of Frida. FCG casts guidance on Frida to try to hold on to this dream. Frida asks what FCG sees. They see Frida, but more glowy than normal, and a child. Frida doesn't see the child. They can see, or they can feel something and see human feet. Frida says they haven't thought about a child in a long time. FCG asks if they are alright. If they are alright. Frida says they'd like to wake up. FCG wraps their arms around Frida and tries to wake them up. FCG sees the child look up at them. Their eyes glow, and they are pulled away from the dream. When they wake up, they are holding each other. Frida says it felt personal, and it feels like FCG was meant to be there. FCG says they should draw. Frida asks for the description of the child they saw. As they draw the child, Frida unlocks a memory. They think they were meant to protect the child, and the laughter of Deanna partly reminded them of it. FCG wonders if there's a recording of the child deep within Frida. They wonder if they can find it. Frida says they've talked to Deanna many times about living in the past and thinks it might not be helpful. FCG says they don't know until they try. Frida asks why they help. Why did they help Umadara and not think battle like the rest of them did? FCG says they can't spell enemy or friend without E, so they have a lot in common. Frida says this is a lot, and they think talking to Jacoby might help. As Frida powers off, they feel an itch in the back of their mind. They all wake up and feel fully rested. They aren't greeted by sunlight as they are underground. Most of the enchanted lights are being replaced with oil lanterns. Deanna has made breakfast for everyone. The humanoids eat it, but the Aortons can't eat food, so they eat metals and rubies. The party are now filled with food, so they are fully rested and full. They wonder how much time they'll have before they go meet the royals. They have a ton of time. They realize they have to go to Ultgar's and Jacoby's. They also remember they have to go to the steeple for the information they paid for. Frida doesn't know what Ultgar's chest is, as the name has been changed. The party talk about where to go first. They choose Ultgar's first. Frida says they don't know who Ultgar is. Chet says he is a master craftsman, and Chet was his second, until a elf named this name, Drislich, came in and changed it to metal toys, and he sold part of the shop, ruining Chetney's life and his future. Chetney then stabbed Ultgar in the hand and Drislich in the knee. Frida says if Chet wants, we can turn him inside out. Deanna says they should use a safe word to warn everybody if Chet is about to snap. At first, the safe word is macaroni, but they changed it to parmesan. They leave Deanna's house and make their way to the deliberation disc and go to D&O's Toy Emporium. The first floor is made of wood slabs. The second is made of the same, but the roof is made of metal with a ton of strange things on top of it. It has a carnival color scheme to it and is inviting in the same way a carnival is. They see 3 dwarves, 2 young dwarves in colorful aprons that look like Pop-Tarts, and they see another dwarf with them, older. They're all men. Fern asks if this is what it looked like when Chet left. No, it was a 1-story building, and it used to be respectable. They hear a sound come from the building. A different armored dwarf comes out of the store with fire and smoke on him. He asks for the fire to be put out. He gets up and says, "Fuck this, I quit. I didn't know it was going to be like this." The party wonder what work he was doing. He doesn't tell them as he passes them and they ask. The older dwarf in front of the store looks sad. Imogen sees that the twinkle in his eye is no more. Chenny knows who he is and turns invisible. It is Ultgar Dragon, I believe is how he said it. Frustrated by the dwarf leaving, he says he doesn't know what he's going to do and tells the others next to him to take a break. The party asks Chet if they should help him. He says yes. Fern goes up. She says hi to him. He says hi back. She asks what's wrong. He says that they've taken a lot of work lately of the enchanted nature. He says the best sellers they have were these whistle cages, and inside of them were a bunch of firebugs. They were inside through magical means. They were imported from somewhere else. He gets lost in thought trying to explain what they are. But they lost their magic, so Durslich is worried about the bugs getting out and can be dangerous and are dangerous. A voice is heard from off in the distance. It's Durslich, an elf that looks like Ichabod Crane. He says he's the majority owner of the store. The party questions the fact that their stuff isn't made here. He says that they expanded their horizons more. Imogen asks if they need help. Durslich says they need some help. Fern asks if they have someone to do some woodworking for them. Durslich says if the party can bring someone to help them, he'll pay a finder's fee and will show them their catalog. Fern says she's looking for something like what Chetney made, and shows off a wooden wolf. Ultgar likes it. Durslich doesn't. Durslich asks the party for help in dealing with the firebugs to help save his pet inside the store. FCG says that it would be good for someone to go inside the store and look around. He says he'll pay 500 gold pieces to save his pet from the firebugs that escaped from the whistle cages. Fern says paying 500 each seems like a fair deal. Durslich tries to haggle his way out of it, as he only intended to pay 500 gold flat, but Ultgar overrules him and says that 500 each seems fair. Durslich gives him the key to his room. Durslich goes to open the door to the store, but Frida kicks the cane out from under him. Frida tries to take the rest of the keys off him, as they pick him back up. Durslich tries to pass this off as an old war wound, and that he didn't finish his oatmeal today, so that's why he fell over. They take the keys off him. He leaves. Chetney follows him and ignites his crimson right, and cuts down along Durslich's calf. Chetney hides in the crowd of people to avoid Durslich's ire. Durslich blames a kid nearby and walks off. Diana gives Ultgar some food. Fern says the owner is something else. Ultgar says he's helped expand his business. Imogen casts detect thoughts on him, and he hears in his head that he hates Durslich and is ready to go home and drink. Chetney sneaks around to go inside with the party. They all regroup inside the toy shop. They smell burnt wood and burnt hair. It feels empty and is filled with soot. Inside, Chetney is pissed they rebranded the place. Everyone asks why Chetney hates Ultgar. He hates Durslich as well. Chetney doesn't believe this. Frida shows Chet the keys to the place, and Imogen gives him the key to Durslich's room. Chetney says, what are they doing here? Or asks what they're doing here. Imogen says they're here to deal with some sort of bugs. Inside the shop is a bunch of modern toys. Imogen smashes a crane for Chetney. Chetney says Ultgar lost his way. FG says that he seems kind and worried about his business. Chetney doesn't want to hear that. The shop may have lost favor, but Chetney loves woodworking, and Ultgar should have gone down with the ship and not forget everything. Frida says things go in and out of style, so maybe helping Ultgar now can repair their relationship, and maybe woodworking has come back into fashion. At this point, a swarm of glowing beetles float into the room. They are to capture them. Diana casts Speak with Beasts to try to avoid a fight with them. She convinces them to stop flying, and a bunch of them land on a table, and some land on her. Diana puts syrup on herself, and the rest of the swarm goes on to her. FGG finds a wooden box in the corner. Imogen puts the last of the pancake inside the box, and half the beetles fly into the box. Chetney thinks about these bugs and what they like to feed on. Sugar and wood. Great. As Chetney says this, the beetles still on Diana get hotter and hotter. Imogen uses telekinesis to force the beetles all together. All at once, the beetles are pulled from Diana and all together once more. Fern casts air bubble to trap the beetles inside. They are trapped within, however, the bubble pops. Time to roll initiative. The bugs roll a natural 20, FCG an 18, Imogen an 18, Frida a 16, Chetney a 16, Fern a 10, and Deanna a 5. First up is the Swarm. The Swarm around Fern and bite her. FCG is now up. They cast Compulsion. The Swarm, however, makes the save, so it doesn't work. FCG gives Frida a Bonded Blessing. It's like Inspiration. FCG then moves to a different room and sees it in the area that is burnt and damaged by some sort of sharp weapon. FCG also hears another Swarm. Imogen telekinetically grabs the Swarm and hold them up to the ceiling. Imogen tells everyone to find the whistle cages and might help hold onto them. Frida hides and then shoots the Swarm. Doing this makes the Swarm burn a lot brighter. Frida then moves into the same room as FCG to try to group up. Chetney brings out Turmoil and casts Shatter on the Swarm in the other room. This causes many toys to go flying. Oh well, I'm sorry. Chetney moves into the next room as well. Fern casts Snare and makes a butterfly net to capture the beetles. She tells Imogen to move the beetles into the net. Deanna is up. She moves into range of both swarms and casts blindness on them both. They both fail. One swarm is trapped. One swarm blindly flies over to Frida and swarms them, but doesn't get to do much as they miss all their attacks. A third swarm appears and attacks FCG. FCG tries Compulsion again on the third swarm this time. They are forced to move toward the net on their next turn. FCG gives 5 temp hit points to Frida. Imogen is up. She slams a swarm down into the trap, and they are now trapped in Snare for the next 8 hours as long as they don't make their save. As they're slammed onto the ground, flames emerge from them, hitting Fern in the process. Imogen uses her bonus action to move the other swarm away from FCG. Frida moves toward FCG and avoids the attack of one of the swarms. Frida casts Guiding Bolt on one of the swarms, destroying this swarm. Chetney moves into another room that used to be a workroom and is now an extension of the sales area. Chetney then moves toward the storage room and then goes upstairs. Upstairs is another pair of swarms, and there's a small nest in the corner. Chetney then turns into a werewolf. Fern is up. Fern casts Snare again. Deanna is up. She doesn't like this swarm. Tried to hurt Frida a few times. She casts Inflict Wounds on it, dealing 20 damage. The snared swarm is still snared. The other swarm attacks Fern but misses. The two swarms upstairs attack Chetney. They both hit, dealing a lot of damage. Luckily, it's halved because he's a werewolf. FCG casts Spiritual Weapon in the form of a fly swatter. FCG tries to force the swarm into the snare. It doesn't work. Then FCG moves upstairs and dashes to the top floor. However, FCG remembers that Deanna got a natural 20. That means they have advantage. So they reroll the fly swatter attack, and it hits with another natural 20 of their own. So that swarm is then pushed into the snare. They are both trapped. Imogen picks up Deanna and puts her upstairs. Then uses her bonus action to get back a spell. Frida moves upstairs. They grab Deanna on the way. Frida casts Guiding Bolt on one of the swarms again. Chetney swings at the swarm. Frida just hitting 3 times, dealing good damage. Chetney then moves to the door to Lich's room. Both swarms miss their opportunity to attack on Chetney. He's met with a locked door. Fern just starts looking through shit on the first floor. Deanna's turn. She casts Inflict Wounds on the swarm that hasn't taken damage yet. And because she casts Speak with Animals, she tries to intimidate them to stop, but it doesn't work. Neither swarm downstairs escape their snares. The swarms upstairs attack Deanna. Frida gives them disadvantage, causing them to both miss. FCG uses their propeller hand to try to suck up the bugs, but it jams. The arm is not supposed to move that way. FCG then moves the spiritual weapon through the floor to hit one of the swarms. The minute I saw this, okay, I knew this is going to cause problems. If anyone was in the chat watching this, I want to know what the reaction was. I specifically avoided not going to the chat because I damn well knew someone somewhere would get upset by this. So I'm curious if someone did. Let me know in the comments below if chat got really upset over this moving a spiritual weapon through the floor. Because another one of these happens later, but this one might be a little bit more egregious to some people. FCG then moves toward the chest in the room. The bugs miss their opportunity attack on FCG. Imogen goes up the stairs. She picks up a bench with telekinesis and slams onto both the swarms, only hitting one, however, but it's a natural 20, killing one swarm. Frida shoots the remaining swarm with 2 times, hitting both times, killing the last swarm. As they kill the swarm, their eyes glow a little bit red. This catches the eye of some of the players. FCG tries to open the chest, but it's locked. Imogen has the keys. Chetney tells them to check for traps, and then swipes at the door without looking for traps. The door bursts open into a nice bedroom with a canopy bed. On the ground next to the bed is a strange mass of something, congealed mass. It was probably Durzlich's worm moving into its next stage of life, which makes it a lot more dangerous. Deanna looks to see if it escaped. There are windows, but no sign of something leaving through them. Imogen tries to find the keys to the chest. Deanna casts Dawn into Durzlich's room. She looks to the ceiling, and on the ceiling is a massive insect-like creature. The room ignites with a light and fills the entire room. They hear a screech. The creature hits the floor. Time for initiative. Fern, a natural 20. Imogen, a dirty 20. FCG, a 19. Deanna, a 19. Chetney, a 16. And Frida, an 11. Fern is first. Fern casts Scorching Ray at 3rd level. Hit, crit. Dealing 34 damage. Bonus action, Mr. Flaming Seed. However, this misses. Fern and Mr. both back up. Imogen is up. She moves to see it and casts Lightning Bolt. It hits, dealing 32 points of damage. Imogen then backs away. It's now the creature's turn, and it climbs on the walls out of the bedroom, filling the hallway. It bites Deanna, but misses. It claws at Fern, hitting both. It then tries to grapple with Fern. To keep Fern in its claw. Fern rolls a natural 1, so she's caught by it. It then leg spears Imogen, hitting and dealing a ton of damage. FCG uses Spiritual Weapon, dealing 8 damage. FCG then swaps to their Bolt and hits for 20 damage, using some of the damage they absorbed earlier. Imogen is up. She moves to the front of the creature. Deanna is up. She moves to the front of the creature. Deanna moves Dawn to the backside of the creature, or Dawn Light, which is the other time that they did something really weird with magic and how they positioned it. So I'm very curious how people reacted to that. Chetney is up and he moves toward the creature. In order to hit it, he needed to run into the light caused by Dawn. So he does. He swings Turmoil, dealing 33 damage. Everyone within 5 feet of the creature takes 9 points of damage as the blood from the creature is boiling hot. Chetney then leaves the creature's space, avoids being hit by the claw. Frida shoots the creature with a disarming shot, dealing 20 more damage, but it doesn't drop Fern. They try again, miss. Frida then tries again after action surging, reloads, hits this one, deals 25 more damage. This time it drops Fern. Frida then moves next to everyone. Fern is up, and she plans to polymorph it into its baby form again. And in an hour, it'll turn back, and they'll give it to Durzlich, and it's Durzlich's problem again. Imogen says it'll kill Durzlich. Chetney says that's okay, because if it didn't, Chetney would. Imogen is worried about Ultgard being caught in the crossfire by the creature, though. Chetney doesn't say anything about that. Imogen looks for something incriminating to somehow get rid of Durzlich. After 20 minutes, they find ledgers that ties the shop to child labor sweatshops, where kids make the toys down in the Shady Creek Run. Imogen says Durzlich needs to die now for this. There are dead ledgers and other ledgers about expanding into the city. There's also forged documents in Ultgar's name, which would, if he dies an untimely death, Durzlich would get his portion of the shop. They ask Chetney what to do. Chetney says this worm is dangerous. It could hurt people in Ultgar. He says they should take the worm to the exit of the city. Fern takes the worm and heads to the exit. Imogen opens the chest. Inside, they see a bunch of raw materials, ingots, tools, and prototypes of toys. Chetney says to take them. Chetney looks around and finds an enchanting kit, and some fine gloves. Chetney can feel Durzlich is about 1.5 miles away, thanks to the Crimson Red he hit him with earlier. He says he wants to talk to Ultgar and ask for help from Imogen. Imogen asks if Chetney will kill him. Chetney says to be determined. Imogen will not help kill Ultgar. Fern is currently running the worm through the city and passes a bunch of people that recognize her as one of the heroes who saved them from Umadara. She gets outside and sees a bunch of traders talking to glass blades trying to get into the city. She finds a cliff and throws the worm down. She watches it vanish into the trees of the forest. She starts to leave and it turns back into its large form once again. It starts to climb for Fern. She runs and dashes. It does as well. She gets back to the barracks and the glass blades start shooting the creature with ballista. They kill it, and then after being a bit upset by it, she then turns around and walks back in like nothing ever happened. Meanwhile, the party take more of Durzlich's stuff. Frida takes Durzlich's emerald chair. Frida likes emerald stuff. The bugs and the snares never break out. The party finds something better to place them in. They emerge from the shop with the trapped creatures. Ultgar is surprised that they did it. He thanks them until Chetney calls him a cheery son of a bitch. He looks at his hand and there's a scar there. Chetney says that they should talk privately. He's able to convince Ultgar to go inside. Ultgar is upset by the state of the shop, but Diana starts fixing it with mending. Chetney tells Ultgar they split on bad terms, but Chetney is sorry. Not really, but he kind of is. Ultgar taught Chetney a lot, but Ultgar forgot that it doesn't matter, that things aren't popular right now, it always comes back in style. Chetney tells Ultgar that Durzlich is fucking him over with the child labor and the forged documents. Chetney suggests giving Durzlich the rest of the shop and starting over. Durzlich will only drag him down. Ultgar can go anywhere and do well with 1/4 of the shop. People like him and his smile. Chetney says to get far away from here. He doesn't want to see him get pulled down by Durzlich. Imogen asks if he knew about the kids and tries to read his mind. She can't get through to his deep thoughts. He says this is the first time he's heard about the child labor, and it breaks his heart over it to be connected to it. FCG Insight checks him. Imogen reads surface thoughts. And his surface thoughts are, who are you people and why is Chetney being so forgiving? FCG's insight is too low to glean anything from him. Ultgar says this place is a mistake. He lost his way, and he looks at the scar in his hands, and he says that he deserves what he got. He says it's time to find his path again. Chetney gives him the prototype toys and says that they can be made of wood. Ultgar thinks of the possibility of new toys. Ultgar apologizes to Chetney. Chetney starts to say that he forgives him, but Ultgar cuts him off and says he doesn't deserve it yet. Fern finally comes back down and tells them that it's dead. Chetney tells Ultgar that he has 2 days to leave the city. Ultgar pays them 400 platinum pieces from the shop, of course, meaning out of Durzlich's pocket. Chetney tells him to get 7 or 8 goats and a sleigh and go somewhere far away from here. Ultgar says he might travel the world and make toys for people. Fern says to go north. He seems to like this idea. I guess he is truly straight up Santa Claus now. He thanks the Bells Hells and wishes them well and to have a good day. He leaves. Chetney asks Fern to burn Durzlich's desk. They put the fire out and they make their way to the next detonation, the Citadel, and the session ends. So there you have it, episode 54 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. I really enjoyed it personally, but I like Travis's backstories a lot. He always puts in characters that you can interact with and have several of them so they can be interacted with in several different places, like Deanna, like Ultgar, like Durzlich. None of them are going to be resolved at the same time, but you can resolve each of them like very quickly. Like Deanna and him seem to have patched up a good portion of their relationship. Ultgar and him have now patched up their relationship after helping him and sort of telling him that, hey, you can find your path again. And Durzlich is going to get his just desserts, which is always nice. And this is a common theme inside Travis, his backstories for his characters. And I really like it. It makes it really simple, but there can still be a lot of depth to them. So it's kind of nice. And it's not like something they have to waste like 10 episodes or 10 sessions on. So Travis's characters are always like forward thinking anyway. They don't really like to think on their past. So getting their past stuff dealt with to him is always the best thing. So I really enjoyed this episode because it was a one and done with Ultgar. We're still going to get something to do with Durslich, some sort of just desserts for him. So I'm very excited about that. This was overall a fun episode. I liked the fights in it. The fucking mini for that last creature was insane looking, and I want to find it. So yeah, I enjoyed this episode quite a lot. And that's it. See you guys next week for next week's video, Tuesday. Don't know what it'll be yet. Who knows? We'll find out. See ya.